Hey guys, I'm back with another candle review, and this time around it's for the 18-ounce 4-wick Spooky Spider Cider Candle from HomeWorx by Slatkin & Co. The notes on this read orange zest, spiced golden pear, pressed green apples, and sugared ginger. So yeah, I was featuring this one on my Instagram stories at the Candle channel on Instagram, and somebody had requested I do a standalone candle review for this, so since I've burned this one 3 times now, I was like, let me go ahead and do it. So yeah, this one is available at Marshall's, TJ Maxx, and Home Goods, so those type of stores are starting to carry fall HomeWorx candles in kind of spotty. Selection or inventory kind of just depends on which store you're at, because I can find them at some stores but not at the other, so you kind of gotta go hunting around for them. But there are a number of other fall candles such as banana maple pancakes, toasted vanilla pumpkin, golden harvest, pumpkin caramel corn. There's also like a slew of these more I guess grassy green clean type of fragrances coming out as well. So keep your eyes peeled. They are $16.99. I don't believe this candle in particular has been spotted anywhere else at the time being. So yes, what does it smell like? It was kind of generic on cold, and it's still kind of like a generic cider fragrance, to be completely honest, but nothing cheap or offensive about it, so we're good to go there. It smells like, nice or decent enough, but it is still a cider fragrance nonetheless. I just kind of got, I guess, like pulled into it because of the label and the naming on it. But like if this was just a regular like apple label or like a pear label that said cider on it, I probably wouldn't have paid it any mind. But since everyone's into everything Halloween, let me just go ahead and review this one anyways. So yeah, you definitely get the apple and the pear in there. A lot of times apple and pear kind of like mix together, and it has a like stewed apple pear type of slightly fermented cider fragrance in there. So it smells like an apple pear drink. Heaps of a orange zest, orange spice note for sure. If you think of like a allspice infused like orange spiced tea during the fall time, very much in that route of like a heavily spiced orange tea type of fragrance, is definitely in here mixed with the apple and pear cider. And then it says ginger in there. You get the usual like cinnamon, spice, ginger type of like allspice notes that you get in like a cider or a fall tea fragrance. And you mix it all together and it's just like your usual type of cider fragrance. Nothing more, nothing less. There's a little bit of like a creaminess to it, which is actually kind of nice. It gives like an extra like sweet creaminess to it that I do enjoy. There's nothing particularly spooky or unique about it in that sense, so don't think that there's like an extra added like patchouli or like dirt note in there. Nothing at all really like that. It heavily reminds me of last year's caramel apple spiced tea, which also had apple and orange zest notes in there. It just feels like a diluted version of a caramel apple spiced tea. Caramel apple spiced tea from last year was stronger, a little bit more robust, and the caramel and apple notes were a little bit stronger, so it had a little bit of a sweetness to it, but very much sibling fragrances, very similar. It's just this is like a lighter version of caramel apple spiced tea, but the same orange spice apple type of cider drink tea fragrance exists in both. So I think if you already have caramel apple spice tea, you probably wouldn't need this one because that one's a little bit stronger and more robust. But if you're somebody who's just a huge fan of Halloween and wants this like fun, cute label, then go for it. I think the main selling point for this is definitely the label and the naming on it, because the fragrance has kind of like been there, done that, to be completely honest. So that's what the fragrance smells like. It's not bad, but it's kind of like a dime a dozen type of cider fragrance. So that's pretty much it. And let me go into the performance. So this is the third day burn, going for about 3 to 4 hours, and it's not doing so hot as you can see here. This one's been a real struggle. So has the pumpkin caramel corn that I also bought alongside it on the same day. Wow. The wick issues certainly have not been resolved at HomeWorx yet, which is a bit of a shame, but here we are. The first burn was fine. They have these very pencil lead thin wicks that are so small and puny. When you first get the candle, the wicks are coated in a lot of wax, so they look like they're thicker wicks, but the moment you light them, the wax kind of like, dissolves away, and you're left with these very pencil lead thin wicks that are just so small and nubby. This one actually did all right on the very first burn. It still took a little bit while to pull out, but it still made an even wax pull and the flames were high. Both burns after that have been really not well. The burn yesterday was going for like 8 hours, and I think even at 8 hours it still wasn't pulling out. It was doing the same thing with the super nubby tiny little flames. The wax pull just does not hit the edge. The first burn was great, but the second and the third burn have both been really abysmal. So you can see here, this one's going for about almost 4 hours, and it has not completely pulled out, and the wicks are just really struggling. This like just reminds me of like 2012 era fresh picked from BBW, which was still a Slatkin & Co. year, and you would have these like just puny wicks, and every candle you would burn would just nub out. This is very reminiscent of that. So not doing good here. Yeah, as for the throw, I would say no more than like a 5 to maybe a 6 if you put it in a bedroom. Yeah, I think the fact that this one's not pulling out and doesn't have a deep, even wax pull is also contributing to the fact that it's not the strongest, but even on the very first burn when it had high flames, it was no more than like a 5. I think caramel apple spice tea was more up to a 7. It was a little bit more stronger and robust and really permeated the room. This one's kind of more of a background fragrance, so I would say probably in a really open concept area, no more than like a 4, and then maybe up to a 5, 5.5 in a smaller enclosed area. You can still smell it, but not wham in your face strong by any means. So that's just kind of the way this one is performing. This one was actually doing really well when you burn it with another candle, which was another HomeWorx candle. It's kind of like you have to have 2 of the candles going at the same time to get like a full robust fragrance experience. This one was going alongside pumpkin caramel corn, and the 2 together were playing off really nicely. So it's kind of like if you have 2 candles going at once, then you can get enough of an adequate, satisfactory fragrance experience. But this by itself is definitely in like the lighter to medium 5 range. So that's pretty much it for the performance on this. Overall, based on fragrance and performance alone, this is most certainly not a repurchase, but if you're somebody who is a Halloween fanatic or a Halloween enthusiast and just want a candle for a candlescape or like a decorative purpose, or you have like a Halloween HomeWorx pedestal and want another Halloween candle to display on it, then check this one out for about 17 bucks at Marshall's or HomeGoods or TJ Maxx. But otherwise, based on like uniqueness of the fragrance or the performance, it's a no from me. So hopefully this review helped out for you. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.